Issue 69. We start out with it being revealed in narration that Mobotropolis is the largest city on Mobius. Couldn't just be a regular capital city, huh? It had to be special. Of course, it's now shown to Sally, Elias, and the King the condition that the Queen is in, as Dr. Quack reassures them that with the low temperatures of the castle's med lab, the Queen's mysterious illness won't get any worse. Sally confronts her father about never being told about having an older brother, probably feeling a little betrayed, although he had no reason to make her upset by telling her. Then the King started telling her all about why he kept it from her in a giant wall of text taking up 3/4 of the panel, and the next panel is only there to give the audience a pointless recap because we could have easily had this explanation of Sally have taken place off screen. And it's not like you can say, oh, just skip recap text if you're bored by it, because you don't know what buried in that text is some new information or good character moments or witty remarks that you shouldn't miss out on, especially not the first time you're reading it. After the King apologizes to Sally for putting the pressure of ruling a kingdom on her shoulders her whole life, and then promptly proceeds to do the exact same thing to Elias, we see Sonic recapping his adventure in Down Under with Rotor. So far, this entire story has been nothing but recapping stuff that could have just been skipped and assumed to have taken place off screen. We see what looks like some shady criminals calling someone about Nate returning to the city, and the reason I realized it was Nate and not Sonic is that immediately after this, we see Nate talking about how happy his life has been in Mobotropolis now. After Amy is impressed at how Nate had somehow created every ring in the universe, no, I'm never going to let them live that down, Sally and Sonic hug, although it's in a really unsatisfying way because Sally's hands aren't actually on his upper back hugging him. Also, it really speaks to how reserved Sally is that upon meeting her brother for the first time, she didn't even ask for a hug from them, instead only doing that for Sonic, and even then only because they're dating at the moment. And then Sally shows reluctance to go out and enjoy herself with her friends because of her mother's condition. Just because her mother is in that tube doesn't mean she shouldn't let herself have fun. She shouldn't be feeling guilty about this. But this is because of her overactive, self-righteous conscience, which is one of her most interesting flaws to me, that she's quick to feel guilty and doubt herself deep down. Seriously, I don't know why people say Sally has no flaws. I've counted 8. After Sally is encouraged by her father to show Elias and Nate around the city, Elias respectfully declines the invitation. It's cute how he still talks like a royal prince despite not at all having a castle's upbringing. Makes him kind of charming, like a kid prodigy, but believable. He says that the past few days have been so demanding that he's still tired from the whole experience. Sonic wonders what's really up with him for some reason, and then notices that Sally wasn't too enthusiastic about having a long-lost brother. Oh, I see. The criminals are not only racist against overlanders, but they're calling Snively the boss. They're calling Snively out on messing up people's lives, and they still have no problem with working for him. You'd think that they would refuse to out of sheer spite. And it's really weird to hear these guys constantly saying Omega and Beta as codenames, when characters called Omega and Beta would be introduced later on. With Nate at the juice bar, Sonic talks to Antoine about how he and Bunny are even more in love after Sonic had left by Nixus. Really? I'm not seeing a difference. I can't help but find this a little sweet, Sonic being awkward about a lot of reunions happening and Antoine missing his father, because it shows a true friendship moment between them for the first ever time. I mean, sure, there's been times when Sonic's helped Antoine stand up, but he'd do that for anybody. They've really come a long way since Sonic used to bully him. Kinda disappointing that we cut away to Bunny noticing Antoine looking sad, rather than actually hearing Sonic's exact phrasing of his father's fate. After a racist dumps juice on Nate's head for being human, and Sonic is stopped from properly standing up for him by Sally, who knows that violence won't actually solve the root problem, it's shown that at least not all Mobians are racist, because one of them is kind enough to offer Nate a towel, calling him stranger instead of human. Then we see Jeffrey telling the King that his visit to the Devil's Gulag has explained why they've received no word from its guards in well over a week. Wait, I never saw the prisoners even so much as attack any guards. But now it's revealed that the guards were imprisoned, and that even they don't know how the breakout happened. Why weren't the guards standing in front of the cells when the cell doors opened? Jeffrey reveals that in the area surrounding Devil's Island are the remains of 2 downed shuttlecraft several miles away. It seems like no one survived the wreckage, despite them raising false hopes of saying no bodies were found, all because of the ocean's hot temperature. It's nice of the King to put his hand on his son's shoulder while they're hearing that. His son would be pretty naive from his sheltered life hidden with the Colonel after all, and yet he seems to be acting pretty calm in spite of all this. Just like Sally, he can keep his emotions in check. I can see the family resemblance, and it just makes him a better character for it because it makes him more believable as Sally's brother. After Jeffrey says that he'll get doctors to treat the starving guards, because obviously you can't just feed starving people because their stomachs are too tiny, and they won't be able to handle it. We see some criminal goons demanding the freedom fighters at night to hand over Nate. Sonic, you idiot, instead of talking, trying to intimidate people way bigger than you, and getting yourself picked up like a helpless kid, you could have attacked them right away! Wouldn't that be more character for Sonic since he's fast acting and impulsive? Good, after Sally gets knocked out, Sonic is given the motivation to spin dash out of the grip in a protective rage, though I'm not sure how he was able to curl up into a ball while being held like that. Then all the freedom fighters get attacked by the criminals working snidely, with Nate being kidnapped by a flying one. Wait, so the guy running around Antoine to create a sand tornado, he can do that? Of course, the minute Bunny tries to be useful, she gets knocked down. Well, so much for the girls and the freedom fighters. Sally gets knocked out in one shot and Bunny is humiliated. These criminals really feel like a real threat because they're all attacking the freedom fighters at once. Although I still can't understand why just carrying Sally is enough to make Sonic not just run around them all in a tornado and throw them all off their feet. The story then ends right after a grenade is thrown, with Sally just waking up. The ending of the story just made me angry. Bunny and Sally should not have been humiliated that easily. Bunny's the second most competent member of the freedom fighters. Cyborg, hello? Sally of course is a normal person who can't fight well, and it was justified that she got knocked out because she was taken by surprise from behind, and anyone would be knocked out from that. But she's still humiliated and forced to be carried away from the danger like a helpless princess, whether it's her fault or not. And combine that with Sonic somehow losing to all these guys, and the whole thing feels unsatisfying. The next story returns to the Wolfpack in the middle of the storm, which was raining too hard for the pack to leave the confines of the city ruins. Because, I guess, rain magically makes them unable to leave the city? After we get more endeared to the cute little girl by seeing her playing with the ball innocently and harmlessly, Lupe is in an argument with one of her friends, with her friend saying that just because Ariel and Athena are orphans doesn't mean she should have to take on the burden of being their mother, as their present situation is difficult enough. Lupe argues that turning her back on those girls will make her no better than the people the Wolfmobians fought to preserve their own kind. And Renard is convinced that one of them will end up paying dearly for her decision. I guess he hates all Overlanders too, but it's just more subtle about it. We then see that they had discovered a great supply of food, which was a good boost for the morale that lightened up the mood. The story ends with Lupe deciding that they'll leave the city with the human girls being raised as one of their own, and taught the Wolfpack's ways. Oh, that's pretty sweet and interesting. I don't know why I expected an exciting adventure. Instead, it's just a short story with mostly pointless redundant scenes where it's confined to the city the whole time. I mean, you could have just had the ending of this story attached to the ending of the previous story involving the Wolfpack. And that's pretty much a whole summary right there. The story was written by Ken Penders, and it was nice. It showed me how much of a good person Lupe is, but the rest of the Wolfpack don't have any personalities after this, and nothing exciting happened at the end. Meanwhile, the main story was by Carl Bollers. It was about some criminals planning to kidnap Nate because he's a human and a scientist, putting a damper on the whole Nate's coming back to the city and having a lot of fun tour thing. Although it was pretty obvious that things would take a turn for the worse since he was happy, and we can't have that. We also see Sally get introduced to Elias and her mother, although as usual she keeps everything to herself, so her disappointed reaction to Elias becoming the new heir was heavily subdued and pushed to much later on. The important thing that happened was the big fight at the end, which ends in a massive loss for the heroes. Granted, it does make sense that the criminals would have the advantage since they're all ganging up on the heroes, and it feels like they're all stronger fighters than the non-special powered heroes. Compare Rotor to General Kodos. And Sally was caught off guard with an attack from behind. Anyone could have been knocked out in her situation. So that doesn't mean she actually is incompetent and weak. It's just bad luck on her part. But still, both her and Bunny being humiliated here because of the events of the plot rubbed me the wrong way. Notice that wasn't just Sally, but even the badass cyborg Bunny who got easily defeated. So it's not just Sally chickification to blame here. Bunny got defeated way too easily too. The biggest problem is that it feels like Sonic should have easily defeated all the criminals by running a circle around them to create a tornado to sweep them off their feet, but he didn't. And they end up getting kidnapped. It just seemed like the fight was lost too easily without even giving the strongest fighters of the heroes a chance to do anything.